This is the video for any of you that have been thinking about getting residency in Mexico. If it's something that's been on your mind and you're just not sure how to go about it, or maybe this is something new to you that you hadn't considered, this is the video for you where we're going to answer all the questions about getting residency in Mexico. Hi, I'm Lynn,
Hello, I'm Jace.
and welcome to our channel,
GenX
GenX Quench.
Today we have a special guest. Her name is Ivonne Paváan of Host Relocation. We've used her services in the past. We've had her on our channel in the past, but we thought we'd bring her back just to talk about Mexican residency, any changes she's seeing on the ground in the process. And for any newbies out there, what is Mexican residency? What does it entail? What are the requirements? So Ivonne, I will let you introduce yourself, talk about your business, and then we'll go into the questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to work with you again. I am Ivonne Paváan, General Manager of Host Relocation. Host Relocation exists in 2013. We started in Querétaro, where I live, and I still work here. And we now have offices Mexico City, Guadalajara, La Paz, and Los Cabos. So I'm happy to answer all your questions because there's has been a lot of confusion lately. So happy to help with that.
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning. So I'm a person, I've heard about getting Mexican residency. What are the differences? Because there are two types, temporary, permanent. What's the differences? Who does it make sense for each for those? And then what are the financial requirements of each of those?
Well, basically, temporary residency, permanent residency, it's the same. You will have the same rights here in Mexico. The main difference are several. You can get it if you are retired. What means retire? You're not working anymore. And now they are very strict lately on the consulates on the retirement age. So you need to be over 60 years old. Even in some consulates, they're asking for 62 years old. So in the past, they gave people permanent residency straight ahead if they have enough economic solvency and even they are younger. This year, not anymore. You need to be strictly at least over 60 years old. What
And
happened
that's
if
for permanent residency
exactly,
as far as 60. So under 60, probably don't even consider it straight out of the bat now.
exactly.
Okay.
Because it's considered a retirement visa.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Mhm. Also, you can get permanent residency if you have a Mexican children.
Okay.
You can get it straight ahead,
Mhm.
or basically those are the two options. The temporary residency, you can move forward to permanent residency if you have been in Mexico for years as temporary residency, meaning you don't need to live here. You need to follow the path 1 year temporary residency, renew it for 3 years, and then by timing of 4 years as temporary, you can apply for permanent resident. So basically, they both have the same rights. The only advantage is permanent residency is forever. You don't need to renew it. And in temporary, you need to do 1 year, 3 years, and then permanent. So it's like three visits to the Mexican immigration office, but
Got it.
it's almost the same.
Okay.
Now, is it still possible? I think when we talk that on the renewal, so temporary is, you come, you get it, you have to come back for the 1 year, and then ideally renew at 3 years at that point to get 4. But I assume that they still could do annual renewals as well if you wanted to, because it really is that magic number between getting it at the first time and going temporary to permanent at 4 years. So you can
Exactly.
renew annually as well, but they do have the option that on that first year anniversary, you can renew for 3 more years. So you don't have to necessarily go back and forth if you're
Correct.
not living in Mexico at that time.
Exactly. Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And then for temporary, is it still true you can bring your car if you're an American across the border and bring it with you?
Yes, American or Canadian, you can bring your
Okay.
car,
Okay.
and you can have it here for 4 years because
Okay.
as a permanent resident, you're considered um, almost as the same rights as a Mexican citizen, except for voting. So
Mhm.
you cannot drive a foreign license plated car.
Okay,
Mhm.
got it. And then back to the requirement for solvency, what does it look like for temporary now? I guess on average, and then what does it look like
Yeah,
for,
because
they're
as
different.
you already mentioned, every consulate varies. So the average right now is 4,200 US dollars a month as temporary resident
Okay,
and around 6,500 as permanent resident.
okay, for income.
You can present, depending on your situation as temporary, you can present your bank account statements under your name with
Mhm.
monthly income. It can be as an employee of a
Mhm.
company or as an independent worker. But the consulates, they don't accept anymore companies' bank account statements. It needs to be under your name. So that's
Okay,
important. You need to deposit to yourself certain amount of money, like 4,500 US dollars a month,
Mhm.
at least, as your own employment. So you can apply for temporary residency if you're an independent worker. Or if you are like a consultant or something like that, you need to have at least that amount of money in your personal checking account. They don't accept business accounts anymore.
Okay.
okay, that's good to know.
In they also accept savings accounts,
Mhm.
and you can do both, because as a temporary resident, they you are younger than 60 years old, you mostly be keep working, so they want to see monthly deposits. That's very important. You can add like an extra your savings just to be on the safe side, but they are
Mhm.
not mandatory. On
Mhm.
the permanent residency, you need to have normally social security, savings, or investments.
Okay.
Okay,
So, because they assume you're not working anymore, so they want to see how much money do you have, so you can live here in Mexico without asking for a job here.
Mhm.
got it.
Mhm.
Okay, very good.
So that's the monthly amount. Isn't there an investment amount as well, as far as a lump sum or something, as far as like that's monthly income, but aren't there, can't you get in through solvency with
Investments?
investment?
Exactly. Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
It again, some consulate varies. They normally accept the 401k or the IRA,
Mm-hmm.
but it is important for them to see that you are having enough, more than enough of the requirement income.
Mm-hmm.
So, but normally our clients, they haven't had any issues with investments accounts
Okay,
even online. Something important, talking about the online, for example, some investment companies like Elite or Vanguard, that they are online banking and you do your investments and you have your profit. Um, right now in this year, they are asking for a notarization of your bank account statements.
Mm-hmm.
So that means either temporary or permanent, it doesn't matter. You need to go to your branch of your bank and ask for a notarization. That means that they are stating that the bank account belongs to you and that the money that you are presenting is accurate. Because you can just print out the bank account statements and just present it like that. So now they are want to be 100% sure that the numbers are right and that that account can belongs to you. That's
Mm-hmm.
why they're asking for the notarization. So what happened with the online bankings? You need to go to a private notary whenever where you live, Canada, US, and you need to ask for a notarization. Of course, you need to pay for the service, but that's what one of the requirements that the consulate is very, very picky with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
basically, they are denying if you don't have your bank account statements notarized,
Mm-hmm.
either by your bank or by a public notary.
And is it just the cover page or they want every page of every statement notarized?
Or
Like
every
They
month.
want every month,
every
the
month?
first page of every month,
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
either
thank you.
6 months if you're an employee, or the 12 months if you're an independent worker or retirement accounts or
Okay,
investments.
very good.
So I think key for what you're just saying, whether you're going temporary or permanent, as far as that paperwork piece, is the minimum amount. Make sure that you're above that. Don't cut it too close because you're saying that they may be picky. And then for all statements, make sure that you have that notary sign a wet signature, I think is what they're kind of calling it, or something, on every statement for that 6-month or 12-month period, just because the consulates are, you don't know what you're going to get from consulate to consulate and from person to person as far as how detailed that they're looking for the information to make sure that everything is processed correctly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the bank account statements, if you want to know which other information should they
Mm-hmm.
need for the interview, they ask for your passport. Of course, it needs to be current and preferably more than 6 months. You have more than 6 months of the expiration date, and you have to have one passport photo that you can
Mm-hmm.
get in either Walgreens or any photo center,
Yep.
Right.
and you need to have the visa application form. The visa application form is basic. It's your basic information. They are not asking. I have read a lot of confusion because they said, oh, they're asking for a address in Mexico. In that visa application, the first stage, they don't ask for a Mexican address. They ask for your address currently wherever you live. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important because it says address. It doesn't mean address in Mexico. It's your current address.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to put either you are going for, there's question 20, 21, and 22 that they are asking where is the city you're going to visit. So you need to put, for example, Querétaro, Mexico City, Cancun, whatever. So that means the city you're going to do the process. And then the date. It says date of your travel in Mexico. It's an average date. You don't need to be very exact. For example, if you have an appointment on August 15, you can say, I'm going to go in September 1st. But if you cannot make it or you plan to do it earlier or after, they're not going to chase you at the airport. They just want to see that you have a plan already. You don't
Mm-hmm.
even need to have tickets booked. They don't ask for that. That's also misinformation. In fact, in most of the websites, it says in red, don't book the flights to Mexico until you have your Mexican visa secured.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to show any flight information or anything, neither a Mexican address yet until this point. And then they ask for the purpose of of going to Mexico. Please don't answer touristing, visiting. The right answer is getting temporary residency, because also some consulates, they do tricky questions, and if you said, yeah, I'm going to visit, okay, you don't need a residency for that.
Right.
Right.
You can do it with your passport and you have up to 6 months to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a tricky question. Don't answer visiting, touristing, whatever. You need to say getting temporary or permanent residency.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long is going to be your stay? If it's temporary, is more than 180 days and
Right.
less than 4 years. If you're applying for permanent, is more than 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important. Also, in the interview, since we're talking on the interview now,
Mm-hmm.
um, don't say that you're going to visit Mexico. You need to say that you're going to live here full
Mhm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
because again, I have read some people that they said, oh, I'm going to be there just for visiting, or I'm going to be there on winter times, or just 3 times a year. They said you don't need a residency for that. You can do it as a tourist. So
Mm-hmm.
Right.
they are denying the residency. They have become more picky on that requirements, because also there have been a lot of confusion. Now some people says, oh, I need a residency to visit Mexico, which is not true. To
Right.
visit, you can do it as a Canadian and American with your passport. Even as a European, you can do it only with your passports.
Mm-hmm.
They are some nationalities that they need a tourist visa, but that's different story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to clarify that.
Now, just taking a step back for any of the viewers that don't realize, like, the first process for Mexican residency starts in your home country. So that means for us in America, it starts here in Canada. And that's what we're talking about, the consulate visit. You have to go to a Mexican consulate in your home country, which may not be in your city. You can look up online, and I think we can put a website in the description to find the consulate closest to you. And that's the process that we're talking about. And basically, Ivonne and her team help with the facilitation once you go to Mexico. Are you doing any services with people as far as like on that first step, or is that really something that individuals can handle on their own as far as going online, getting the
Appointment.
getting the
The
appointment,
point.
getting the document and that type of thing? That really is something that we as individuals can handle on our side. Where you and your team comes in is that after you've been approved and you get the approval visa from the consulate in America or Canada, wherever it is, and you're coming to Mexico, that's when you and your team kick in, right?
Yes, we cannot do the appointments. The government, the websites, they don't allow a third party to do the appointments. We don't do the appointments as Host Relocation,
Mm-hmm.
but we do the guidance, everything. So we help the people. We do a consultation service where, for example, it's like, I'm starting from zero. What do I
Right.
need to do? So give them the websites, give them the contact information of like 3, 4, 5 consulates, because it's not easy to get an appointment. So they need to be open-minded and even travel to other state, to other city to get the appointment. So we give the contact information of several consulates. We tell them what to bring. I check normally the bank account statements, the visa application form, everything to make sure that the foreigners are successful in their interview. That's my
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
objective, because if you're not successful, I cannot continue with my job.
Right.
So we do the consultation for that to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And then, yes, we handle everything, the second part of the process, which is exchange the Mexican visa that you will get at the consulate. It's going to be stamped or glued in your passport.
Right.
So with that, we can exchange that to a plastic, a resident card. It's equivalent to a green card in the US.
Mm-hmm. You
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just
Counselor.
going to ask, can you talk a little bit about the time frame? I don't think we talked about that. So if when you're approved, then it's 180 days, correct, to get to Mexico and for the Conhe process or exchanging
That's
your
correct.
visa for your temporary or permanent card.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I want to also emphasize that whenever you receive your Mexican visa at the consulate, it's very important that you check all your information in the visa.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, lately I have had some consulates doing mistakes. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have a mistake in the visa, the canje process, it's going to take more than 1 day. Normally it takes 2 or 3 weeks until the
Oh,
mistake
Wow.
is corrected.
Mm-hmm.
So don't step out of the consulate without checking your visa. And I think they said check that all the information is correct and sign.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to check that your name is correct, that your date of birth is correct. It's some teeny tiny letters. So please
mhm.
pay attention to that. Your
Mm-hmm.
name, your date of birth, and on the top of your Mexican visa at the right on the header, on the right side, it's going to have issue date, which is the date of the interview, and expiration date, which is 180 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So you will know when your Mexican visa is going to expire. So you plan your trip at least 1 month in advance. I don't never suggest to come on the last week when it's going to be expired. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, you have 180 days. And please check that all your information there is correct, because it's if not, it's going to be several stones on the way. It's going to be solved, but it's not going to be as quickly as you might think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that's a good point that I don't know, and I don't know if you know because you have to check as far as like just anybody planning and starting at stage zero, it may take weeks or months to get an appointment at the consulates right now as of, we're in July of 2025. And so your appointment may be months out. You also, if you've got to get all of your bank accounts and your statements and get those notarized, you need to allow time for that. And then you have 6 months to get to Mexico. So this whole process is not necessarily something that you can just decide on a Monday that you want to do it and 2 weeks later have it. So I think that's just important to note that there are so many steps and the timing of it. And that, yes, after you do get approved and you get that visa at the consulate, then you can book a flight to Mexico. And, that process may be going unless when let's get to that point. How long does it take to get, do you have to get appointments in Mexico, in the cities that you're working in? What is that process that somebody's got their visa and now they want to come, they're planning their trip to Mexico? What happens then?
Yes, you make a point. You need to plan everything. It's not that you're going to get the appointment to the consulate tomorrow. Same story here in Mexico. We need at least 1 month in advance from you, like a notice, before we can book an appointment. The calendar, we have an online appointment system now since September 2024. It changed, so now it's very smooth, but still it requires planning. So unfortunately, some offices you can get an appointment like next week, but in most of the offices like Querétaro, Mexico City, Guadalajara, the crowded offices, Cancun, you will need to wait 1 month, 20 days to get an appointment. So we need to plan that. You need to, and also it's good for you. It's not that cheap or easy to book a flight tomorrow.
True.
Right.
So it helps you plan also your trip here. And I always recommend to stay. Well, that's another question that it's a lot of, I will say, very popular in between my clients and everybody. How long do I need to stay in Mexico to make the canje process? That depends on the office that you're choosing. You need to normally talk to a facilitator so they know, because every city has their own things. So if you talk to a facilitator, they might know, oh, here it's 2 weeks, here is 1 week. It depends. On the cities we serve, normally is 1 day. The same day you go for an appointment, the same day you will receive your card. But there will be some exceptions, like I mentioned. If we don't detect a mistake on the visa, it can take 2 or 3 weeks. Or the system is down, the power is off, they ran out of plastics to print the cards. The printer of the cards is not working.
Yep.
So that will take at least a couple more days. How many? It depends on the office. So it's hard to tell. So I normally suggest with 1 week, we will be on the safe side,
Right.
literally 5 business days. So if you arrive on Wednesday, just try to leave next Thursday or Friday. So 5 business days. Immigration Mexico doesn't work on the weekends, neither the consulates. So just please consider that. And also try to be flexible in case something happens. I know that you are not going to, most of the clients are not going to do the move because they're going to go back to their country, try to sell their things, try to set up a lot of things. Moving to another country is not like a 1 day thing. You need to plan a lot of things, with family, friends, kids, everything. So I know it's not that easy. But I will always suggest to stay here at least one week, 5 business days, and have extra days in case something happens. You cannot leave if you don't have your resident card in your hands. Unless there's something extraordinary, there's an exit permit. But the exit permit is right now, most of the INM office are denying the exit permit unless you had been waiting for 2 months, long time, and it has not been solved, which normally that don't happen. I'm just exaggerating. And it's like big exceptions. Okay, they can issue an exit permit, but not in the normally on the cases, you will need to wait until you have your card. So, I mean, in case something happens, try to be flexible and arrange things so you can stay a couple more days until you have the card.
Right.
So,
So basically, once we come into Mexico, you really need to stay until the process is resolved and solved versus you can't, so if you don't plan to just stay for a day, because if there is a hiccup or something like that, you still need to stay. And I assume if for some reason you do have to leave before the process is resolved, doesn't that mean that you almost have to start the whole process over here at the consulate in your home country?
exactly. If you leave without having your card, and you already paid, but that point, you already paid the fees, the government fees and everything, you mean that you are canceling the process.
Yeah.
So you need to start all over again from the consulate appointment. That's right.
Yep.
Okay. I got another question going back to the consulates. I know when we were kind of going through the process, it was like, oh, the Facebook groups would recommend, oh, go to this consulate, go to that consulate. Is that still the same? Are they still like requirements kind of wildly vary for economic solvency, or this one wants notary, that one doesn't want
Well,
notary?
and can you just go to any consulate? I
Yeah.
mean, that was what the groups were saying. People were getting on planes and traveling cross country because they heard that this consulate was an easier one or less trouble and that type of thing. But then we hear that there are geographic restrictions that
Yeah.
some consulates only serve their state or their area. Is that still the same as far as like picking the consulate in the US?
Yes, both are through.
Mhm.
Some of the states, they only serve people from those states. As right now, in Texas, California, Florida, they only serve people from those states. So you cannot go from North Carolina and go to Miami. So,
Mhm.
but besides those states that they are very, very famous just to serve people from their own states, again, Florida, Texas, and California,
Mhm.
the rest of the consulates, they accept people from everywhere in the US. You
Mhm.
need
Okay.
to be American citizen, and even some of them, they accept Canadian citizens. So you need to contact the consulate. I always said, contact the consulate because some of them even accept Canadians that they don't live in the US. So it's very important to check that. But yes, you can travel. And I will say the requirements are pretty almost the same. The economic solvency varies, 100 US dollars or so. But I think the people choose one or another just because of the appointments. Because, for example, there are some consulates like Lakely, Portland, and Washington, Seattle, they don't answer at all. So if they live in that area, they have been trying for months without any reply. Nothing, email, website, phone call, nothing is working. So that's why they need to try to another consulate. And I have sent those people to Phoenix, to Las Vegas, Oklahoma City, that they are not, I will say, not flexible or anything. It's only because they can get an appointment there.
Right. Right.
So I will say that people choose consulates because of that, because they can make an appointment there. Some consulates are very bad. They don't hear from them in months. So and you want to move forward. So just get to a plane and try to get it to another consulate.
Right.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Let me ask another question. So, and this is one thing I love about the Mexican culture is family is important. So, if I, in our household, if I got Mexican residency, but for some reason she could not get it on her own through economic solvency, how does that work in terms of family unification? Or if we had kids and I got it, but she couldn't get it or they could, how does that work?
Yeah.
How does that
How
function?
easy or hard is it to bring your family with you?
It's super easy, honestly speaking. It's about, I think, way of culture. That's the first thing. There's two ways of get it. If one of the spouses cannot get the temporary residency for any reason, there's two ways to get it. One at the consulate, if you have more than enough, for example, if you have, I will say, at least 50% extra of the minimum economic requirement that
Okay.
the consulate is asking, you can link your husband or wife right there at the consulate. You need to make two appointments and you need to tell them, we're traveling as a couple. My wife doesn't cover, or my husband doesn't cover the economic solvency requirements, but here are mine. So the consulate normally gives the Mexican visa to both if that's the case. But as I said, you need to have at least 50% extra of the economic
Okay.
solvency requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Two appointments, they take you together and they analyze the situation. Again, the
Okay.
final decision depends on the consul.
Right.
If that's not the case, or if you don't have time, or if you want to go to Mexico right away, we can still do it with a marriage certificate. You need to get the apostille. The apostille is the legalization of the document outside the country of origin. If your marriage certificate is from the US, it's only valid in the US. So to be valid in Mexico or any other country, you need to go to the State Department where the marriage certificate was issued and get an apostille. It's an extra paper that literally is, the title is apostille. or apostilla. So you need to get that. And then we need to translate it into Spanish by a Mexican, not a Mexican, by a sworn translator registered on Mexico. So that's very important. And another important thing, the name of the person that is going to do the family link, husband or wife, needs to match in the marriage certificate and in your passport. Your passport is going to be your ID in Mexico. That's what you're going to present in immigration. So the marriage certificate needs to match to that. What happened if it doesn't? My 100% of cases with women, they always change their last name in the US and Canada mainly. So your name in the marriage certificate is going to be your maiden name, and your name in your passport is going to be your married name. So we need to get an affidavit. Affidavit is an identity letter saying that Ivonne Paváan is the same as Ivonne Garcia, but with different last names because I got married, and now it's maiden name and married name. You can get the affidavit either in the US with, again, apostille and the translation. The affidavit, we or normally the facilitators can make it for you. You need to go to a notary, certify that, then get the apostille and translate it to Spanish. Or in some states, for example, you need to go to the consulate in the US. Here in Querétaro, we have San Miguel de Allende, the San Miguel de Allende consulate. So we need to make an appointment. We present the affidavit in Spanish because we're in Mexico. So we don't need any apostille or any translation. Or if you're going to go to Mexico City, there's a US consulate there. If you're going to go to Monterrey, there's a consulate there, or Mérida, but not in other states, Guadalajara as well. So you need to check where, if you can do it in Mexico, or you need to do it in the US, depending where you want to do the process of canje. So that's for husbands and wives. For kids, you can link your children if they are under 17 years old. So if you as a father or mother has a kid under 17 years old, you can link them with the birth certificate. Same process, apostille and translation, and your name needs to match with your name of your passport if you are the mom. And in the birth certificate, that also 100% of the cases happen, they register your babies with your maiden name. And now if you have a married name in your passport, you will need to do the same process. Affidavit, either in the US or affidavit in a US consulate in Mexico. So you can do it. If you have kids over 18 years old, you cannot link them, unfortunately. They are considered adults, and they need to do the same process of economic solvency at the Mexican consulate. So if you're planning to do a move here to Mexico and your kid is on the line, like 16, 17 years old, just try to do it fast, because if they turn 18, you cannot link them anymore. And you know, it's hard for a kid of 18, 19 years old to have 4,500,000 just right away. So just think about it.
But if they get in, if your kids get in at like 16, 17, once they get that temporary, it doesn't matter that they age, as far as like they're still on the 4-year plan to become permanent. So it doesn't matter that they age over 18 during that process. It really is about getting their temporary residency status while they're 17 or younger.
That's an excellent question. Yes, that you're totally right. If they start with the process on the 17 years old, they get the temporary, and next year it's the renewal and they want to pay for 3, but they are over 18, they already started the process. It doesn't matter. They can continue with the way. So that's why I normally strongly suggest to do it before your kids are 18 years old. And also important thing, for example, in your case, if you want to bring your parents, mother or father, you can link them. Even though you're an adult, you can link your parents. So if for some reason, for example, they are elder and there's nobody to take care of them on your country, and you want to bring it with you, you can. If they kids and parents, they will get the same residency as you have. If you have the 1 year, they would get 1 year. If you have 3, they can get 3, depending on the immigration office as well. If you are permanent, they will become permanent, if you're your parents or your kids. they can become permanent. But when they are kids under 17 years old, the permanent residency, it's only good for 4 years. Since their face and fingerprints changes, they need to renew it every 4 years until they turn 18. So
Okay.
if your kids are 6 years old, they will get the permanent, but only for 4 years. So in 10 years, when they are 10, another one, 14, and then
Okay.
18, and that will be the last time.
For parents, what type of paperwork would you just bring, their passport?
Right. Like if you're a
And
caregiver, like our situation,
Yeah,
we're
we
caregiving
take-
for my mom and she's late 80s. And so what would be needed if we wanted that process for her?
your birth certificate.
Okay.
So basically, it's going to be family link saying, Lynn, it's the daughter of
Daughter
this
of her.
person.
Uh-huh.
So same story, birth certificate of you, not your mom. We don't need the birth certificate of the parents. We need your birth certificate, and the names needs to match. So if they don't match, we need to go to do the affidavit for you or for both of you. It depends.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mhm.
That's I love the family
Yes. So
care
you
that
can link
Mexico has.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that a
Only
lot of
it's
countries don't
direct
have.
line. Children or parents. You cannot link brothers. You cannot link siblings in general, cousins, aunts, uncles.
Right.
It's
Right.
only parents or kids. That's
Okay.
Got it.
important. But for example, if your mom get it, then if they have kids under 17 years old, which I don't think they have if they are 85 years
Right,
Yeah,
old,
right.
yeah, I would think so.
Right.
but
But they could.
But they
but
could.
they could. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
But it's only direct line.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
I've got another question. So, residency versus citizenship. Like how, if a person, well, one, what's the difference?
Right.
And then two, if a person wanted to go through that process, what does it look like in terms of timing, what the requirements are, et cetera?
Is it possible? Right.
Yeah.
The residency is like your green card. So it's a
Okay.
permission to live in the country legally. You have all the rights except for voting or for buying a land on the beach area, but you
Mhm.
have all the rights. As a citizen, you can vote, you can have a Mexican passport, and basically you are dual citizenship. So the first step that we're talking about is only residency, 4 years, and then permanent. That doesn't become a citizen, even if you're permanent. To get a Mexican citizenship, you will need an extra step. As an American or Canadian, you need 5 years waiting time in as a temporary and permanent residency. So let's say you have become permanent resident after 4 years. You need 1 extra year to make it 5 to apply for citizenship. But the last 2 years before you apply, you need to live here in Mexico full time. That's
Okay.
one of the requirements.
Mhm.
So if you want to do that, just plan your life so you can live in Mexico the last 2 years before you applying. Then you need to speak fluent Spanish. That's also one of the questions that I have had. Oh, I'm going to apply for permanent. Do I need to speak Spanish? No, that's only permanent residency. For citizenship, yes, you need to speak fluent Spanish. It's going to be a conversation with a government people, fluent conversation. It's not like a test, it's not a TOEFL. So that's even harder because you need to
Yes.
speak, understand, and read. So you need to be fluent. And then you will need to make a history test, several questions. We can provide you a guide to study, but you need to answer at least 4 of the 5 questions or 8 of the 10 questions. Right.
But
And you need to have criminal records, and that's a different story. That way, you can get the process takes between 6 months up to 1 year, and you will get a letter of naturalization. That means that you become dual citizenship. In case of US and Canada, I'm talking about because every country has different things.
Right.
For US and Canada, you never lose your American or Canadian citizenship,
okay.
and you can be dual citizenship and hold both passports the whole time. In case of other countries, for example, Japan, you cannot be dual citizenship. So
Okay.
you cannot get Mexican citizenship unless you resign to the Japanese one.
Right.
So it's up to
Okay.
you.
Mhm.
Okay, I've got two follow-up questions to that, but that was an excellent explanation.
Right.
So for the 2 years where you're living in Mexico, as a resident before applying for citizenship, isn't it like you have to be there? Was it 18 months out of the 24 months or something, or six, something to that effect, like a year and a half?
A
You
year and a
basically had to
half.
physically be in Mexico. So you still have months you could travel or go back home if you needed to.
Exactly. For a
Oh,
couple of days, a week or so,
yes.
and you can come back.
You
Yes,
just got to keep checking with the I&M office to make sure you're getting stamped and they got a
exactly.
log of your
That's a good
entrance.
point.
Your
Mhm.
If you are
entrances and exits.
pursuing citizenship,
Mhm.
every time you need to get your exit and your entrance stamp. Well, entrance stamp is almost mandatory,
Right.
Right.
but
The
your
exit.
exit
Exit.
stamp.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And then the next question is, if you're over the age, or if you're at least age 60 or above, you can bypass the history exam, the history and culture exam. Is that correct too?
That's correct. If you are
Okay.
over 60 years old, by the time they schedule the appointment for you, you
Mhm.
will not need to do the history test. But yes, the Spanish test.
Spanish, yes. Yes, the Spanish test.
That
Okay.
is not voided in any case.
And then can a resident get health care in Mexico, or you have to be a citizen to try to get the apply for health care in Mexico?
As a resident, you can get the healthcare, but we have two types, as in
Okay.
most of the countries, the public and the private. You
Okay.
can get the public, but honestly speaking, the public is not very good.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, my personal opinion is not even worth it to get it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got
But
it.
also, if you want to hire a private company for like insurance company for major things, you need to be a
Mhm.
resident if you're going to do your póliza in Mexico. You as a tourist, you cannot get um, an insurance like yearly
Right.
insurance
Okay.
if you're a tourist, because for tourists there's touristic insurances,
Right.
other type
Right.
of things.
Right.
So if you want to hire, if you're going to live here and you want to hire a private insurance, you need to be a resident, and you can pay it yearly,
Okay.
trimester, or bimester.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
Very
yes,
good.
you can get the public, but in my personal opinion, it's not even worth it to get it.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
It's very bad, not good investment. And Mexican people, more than 60% of the people, it's not in good economical situation, so it's their only option.
Mhm.
So getting that only option from them, I will say it's not very good idea, because
Mhm.
for them, they cannot afford to pay a private insurance. So that's the only option they have. And
Right.
if you
Right.
take a spot from them, I don't think it's a good idea to do.
Right. Right.
That makes sense.
Right. I mean, that I think that's kind of the process that you have to a certain degree, with the financial limits or minimums to become a resident. It is so that we're not, people are not coming into the country to be a drain on the country. And so the assumption is, if you do meet these financial minimums to become and seek residency, that you can maintain and pay for the services and the healthcare and things like that, that isn't
Exactly.
taking away from Mexican citizens as far as a spot for, the government and whatever that they're supplying for their citizens. Even though as you're as a resident, you're coming
Hmm.
with resources and assets to be able to be self-sufficient.
Hmm. Exactly. You pass for all that process. So yes,
Right.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got another question. Since you're on the ground, you have offices in other Mexican cities, other locations. In the current climate, at least the timing of this video, how has the sentiment changed to American folks who are getting residency there? Like we've seen on the news recently, in at least Mexico City, there are a lot of protests and whatnot for gentrification. Are you seeing that in Querétaro or La Paz or the other places where you have
Thank you
offices set up?
for mentioning that important subject. Yeah, it has been kind of stress for the
Mhm,
foreigners that wanted to move here to hear about the protest. The
mhm,
protest, and we can share a link from our president saying that we are not against foreigners. We
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
always had been open to foreigners since colonial times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we are not even racist because we have people from different colors.
Mm-hmm.
So the president says people is people. It doesn't matter where they come from, and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what color they are.
Mhm.
And we have been mistreated in other countries. We don't want to mistreat people here. So basically, that gentrification or that protest in Mexico goes just specific in real estate.
Okay.
The Mexican people that lives, but that's the Condesa, Polanco, Roma Norte. Those are
Mhm.
the richest areas in Mexico. So that means Mexico City has 22 million people.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
rich area is, I will say, 1% of Mexico City.
Mhm.
Okay.
So just imagine the magnitude of the issue. It's only 1% of Mexico City.
Right.
The people that live here is protesting because foreigners arrived, buy properties, and then they turn it into Airbnbs.
Mm.
So now they are kicked out of their area
Mhm.
because
Right.
Okay.
they are not they don't have properties to rent anymore, and the properties left, they are super expensive
Mhm.
and normally owned by foreigners. So
Mhm.
what the president says, okay, if the foreigner wants to have a business in Mexico, they need to pay taxes.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's the only thing. And Mexicans feel like they are setting apart because they
Okay.
cannot pay those type of rents, or they are not even properties to rent because everybody was Airbnbs or coffee shops or hotel boutiques.
Mhm.
So that's the main reason of the protest. We are not
Okay.
against foreigners. It's not like we don't want to come. Just 2 weeks before, Cancun was full of foreigners.
Mhm.
Mexico live out of tourists.
Mhm.
If there are no tourists, there will be no hotels, no waitress, no
Mhm.
Uber drivers, no taxis, no touristic guides. We
Right.
live from tourists.
Mhm.
So it's not like we don't want you here. It's just a
Okay.
specific situation that happened. That process only happened, or that protest only happened in Mexico City. In any other place, nothing. Neither San Miguel de Allende or Ajijic,
Mm.
which is full of foreigners, nothing had happened. And also, YouTube and the news always exaggerate
Yep.
things just
Right.
to get more views
Right.
Yep.
and get more subscriptions.
Mhm.
So sometimes they even get videos from other things that nothing
Mhm.
to do with the same main subject.
Mhm.
Right.
So I will say, don't believe everything that is on the news, that is on the YouTube, because now YouTube, it's not controlled like in the past with the media. So
Right.
Mhm.
everybody can post whatever they want.
Right.
And so just make sure with local people, my
Mhm.
suggestion is just talk to local peoples, not talk in Facebook because mostly the Facebook groups are foreigners and they
Mhm.
are not
Mhm.
here. Try
Mhm.
to talk with local people, local suppliers,
Mhm.
restaurants, coffee shops, whatever, to know how is the environment there. But so
Mhm.
far, super safe. It was very punctual, a punctual situation in Mexico City in that one area. Everywhere else in Mexico, it's pretty safe, pretty good, and
Mhm.
Okay.
nothing had happened.
Mhm.
I'm glad to hear that because I
Yeah,
love coming to Mexico. So.
and also
Right.
I think it's because you are suffering kind of a situation with the deportations that you might
Mhm.
think, oh, it's gonna happen to me as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a back-to-back situation. No,
Right.
it's
Mhm.
not like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think as we're probably getting closer to wrapping up, you are in Querétaro. Can you give a plug? I know that you're offering, you may want to repeat yourself as far as what cities that you have relocation works in, but also give a plug because, a lot of people know about Mexico City and Cancun and the big cities, but we went to Querétaro, January
Sure.
of this year,
January.
fell in love, will be returning. And just give a plug to our viewers because we are definitely ambassadors of that city. And just let people know that that's an option if they're thinking about coming to Mexico to complete the Kanye process.
Yes, Querétaro is, for reference, 3 hours from Mexico City. We are considered the heart of Mexico, and we have an international airport, several connection flights from Dallas, Houston, Detroit, Chicago. They are opening one to LA, and now they are opening one from Madrid. from Querétaro. So we are
Wow.
going to be
We just heard
connected.
another one. Yeah.
No, it
Yes,
was Chicago. That's what she said. Yeah.
Chicago.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And Madrid, it's gonna open up just in 1st of August. So we are gonna be connected to other places. We are a colonial town where you can visit some surrounding like very, very nice magical, they call magical towns because they have something particular, something special. We are the second biggest region of wines in Querétaro because of the soil and because of the weather. We are on the central highlands. That means that the weather is steady the whole year. We have winter, but it's not that dramatically. It doesn't drop too much. To have an idea, our average weather is 85 to 90 degrees the whole year. Maybe on winter it can drop to 70s, but it's not that bad, especially if you're coming from US, and not even a thing if you're coming from Canada or Europe. So basically that's one of the attractives that people is looking for. The weather is very steady. We are a semi-desert, so we are kind of dry. It's not humid, so you will not be sweating the whole day, which is very comfortable, by the way. We just use cream, lotion, sunblock, moisturizer, and you're done. It's, we can be with jackets, with normally with short sleeves the whole time, and with some comfortable dresses or pants, jeans normally.
Right.
So that's one of the most important things. And it's colonial. The independence happened here in Querétaro. So it has a lot of history. And we have the antique neighborhoods where you stayed in Centro Histórico. But also, if you go outside, everything is modern. So we have everything for everybody, depending on your lifestyle, your budget, your taste, your particular taste. So that's why it makes it interesting. Guadalajara, we also have an office there, is the same story. We are in the Central Highlands, same weather the whole year. We don't have extreme weather. And it's also colonial. And we have on the outskirts, Guadalajara is almost 10 million people, so it's bigger. It has more, I will say, um, places to go. It's divided into different areas. So the expat community is bigger because Guadalajara is big. So it's also a very good option to move there. There's a lot of job opportunities for Mexicans. So that's why it's a very important city in Mexico. And then La Paz and Los Cabos, what can I say? It's my preferred beach in Mexico. I love the beach. I don't like to live there because I don't like humidity, but
Okay.
neither extreme weathers. But La Paz is beautiful. They have more than 30 beaches in all the coastal area. It's on the tip of, if you go to Tijuana and you go down, it's on the tip, it's of the Baja California Peninsula. It's 2 hours from Los Cabos, to give you a reference, 2 hours driving.
Okay.
So the difference between La Paz and Los Cabos, it's huge. La Paz is still a small little town, very Mexican town. Los Cabos, it's a beautiful place, but it's like Beverly Hills. They have, I will, even as a Mexican, I feel like if I am the US,
Okay.
if I go to
Okay.
Los Cabos, in terms of prices, in terms of shops, in terms of properties. So it's beautiful. In my opinion, as a Mexican, it's expensive, and La Paz is more affordable, and the beaches are beautiful because you don't have any. You are in the peninsula. It's in the Sea of Cortez, so you don't have a lot of waves. So it's a great place to snorkel, to scuba dive, to do any water activities.
Okay. And
So
then, is it true? I read an article, Querétaro's getting a train to connect it to Mexico City as well in the next 2 or 3
yes,
years?
they signed with the governor a
Okay.
few months ago a train, but the train, the Maya train took 6 years to be completed.
Oh, okay. So
So
it'll
it,
be
it's
done.
a yeah, it's a long-term project. They want to connect Mexico City, passing from to Querétaro and then going to Guadalajara. So it's gonna be
Oh,
Mexico City,
wow.
Guadalajara, and passing through all those towns in the middle,
Very
including
nice.
Querétaro. So yes, it's gonna be done, but it's a long-term project.
Right.
I haven't seen any construction yet here in
Okay.
Querétaro.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right, right. We understand that.
Yep.
hmm
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think that's all I had.
That's all. I see that you've got the QR code. How can people get in touch with you to follow you or reach out if they're in that, at the early stages of the process, or maybe have already done the consulate work and are planning a trip to Mexico? How can people reach out?
Yes, in the QR code, it will pop up my contact information, or also you can go to hostrelocation.com website.
Mhm.
There's my cell phone, my email, and my team there, and all the services we offer, because we are not only an immigration services, we offer all the, I will say, table of relocation services that you may need when you move to another country, like opening a bank account, getting a driver license. Of
Mhm.
course, real estate is the second biggest service we offer. We do either for rent or for sale. In the cities we mentioned, we offer the same services, and we have the exact same prices. So basically, we are your host here. When you come here, we are your networking people.
Mhm. Okay.
We, even if we don't know something, we can look out for you, and we take care of you. So we're always connected. And that's why we want our clients to feel that you are not alone in a foreign country with a foreign language, a different culture. We are here to assist you.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
Yes.
that's wonderful.
Right. And we recommend, this is not, we have used Yvonne. We are using Yvonne. And when we went to Querétaro, her team was hospitality, took care of us. You don't have to worry about, even just when you land at the airport, if they know that you're coming, they can help arrange transportation,
Right.
recommendations on where to stay, and all of that. So we really appreciate you taking the time today to share this with our viewers, with the Quench crew, as we call them. And thank you, and encourage everyone to like, share, ring the bell for notification, and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out. And, let's continue the conversation in the comments if you have any questions about the process, and definitely reach out to Yvonne. And with that,
That's it. Adios.
yes, we'll see you on the next GenX Quench video. Thanks, Yvonne.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time.
You as well.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.